buddy? No.
And when I see him, Jesse Jackson, his mom and all them there, and his mama, she pulled me to the side. And that's when I knew it was bad, because she telling me to be strong and all this shit. Right after I heard Tupac got shot, and I was so weak, I damn near fell over. I immediately flew to Vegas, and I walked in the room, and I seen him laid out on the bed with all kind of tubes in him. And his mom came over to me, and she grabbed me, she held me up, and she said, "Baby, you got to be strong." And I went and sat next to him, and was whispering to him, telling him I loved him. What happened was, Nas ain't got a lot of people with him, but he got a lot of people with him, if you know what I mean. And I'm seeing him, and I'm knowing, because I'm a gangbang, I'm seeing with their hands on their guns. I step away from him. Him and Nas right here, boom. Then as soon as I walked out of there, I went in the bathroom and I threw up. Just laid on the floor for like 30 minutes. His mama came in there. I'm the reason why Tupac was on death row, right? I told Suge, go get Tupac. I'm the reason for a lot of things that happened because I was the one that always would speak up and be like, nah, that ain't right. Nah, I ain't with that.
All right, y'all, buckle up because this is wild. The feds just dropped some new evidence about Tupac's demise. And guess what? It points to Snoop Dogg allegedly setting Pac up during the whole East Coast versus West Coast beef. But hold on, it gets crazier. Suge Knight is backing these claims. And in a recent interview with Art
We rocking, we let Cub get down with us, we go in the back, smoke, chill, hang out. It's beautiful.
When did it go sideways?
Once Pac got shot. When he got shot, he felt like they did it.
Now, according to Suge, Snoop was acting real shady in those final days. Word is, he was playing both sides, plotting with Diddy and Biggie while still hanging around death row. And Pac? He wasn't having it. Things got so bad that they nearly threw hands when they ran into each other in public. And then, when Pac got shot and didn't make it, Snoop was nowhere to be found. Suspicious much?
About is that I've been doing that young dude a long time. I did everything in my power to make sure he kept his freedom.
For almost 2 years, Snoop has been out on $1 million bail paid by Death Row Records.
And I knew that Pac did everything right by him by putting him on All Eyes on Me, speaking about him and being real with him.
I looked out the house and Snoop was outside. Then he had this the next tail back there. Remember the motherfucker?
Yeah.
That whatever it was hitting him all the way from what was going on from Vegas. And then he started getting calls and shit, and they was telling him that Tupac got shot.
Look, Suge loves stirring the pot, but could he actually be telling the truth this time? Did Snoop really team up with Diddy to take Pac out because he was jealous? Let's break it all down.
Just start talking to him in his ear. Just talking to him. I don't even know what the fuck I was saying, but it was something to the effect of like, I love you and I hope I didn't make you mad from the shit I did. I just thought I was doing what was right. Okay, and even in that moment, his mom was thinking more about me than herself and showing me how to love strong. And I was like, what's up, Pac? Man, I love your music, I'm a fan. That's what Pac say. If you a fan, I dissed you, Jay-Z, Biggie, he named off a gang of them. I dissed all you on the song.
Suge Knight recently said he used to be a superstar and now he's just a no-limit soldier. What do you say to that?
Nothing. He used to be a CEO, now he's just an inmate.
Thanks a lot.
While Snoop thought he was now safe.
But Easy, when I got with Dr. Dre, I could never say, damn, Easy, you a bad motherfucker. I fuck what you call your shit is hard. I always had to be like that because that's the stance I was in.
Did you ever get to tell?
Never.
Oh, man.
Never.
Suge made it clear that everybody already knew how close Snoop and Puffy were. According to him, Snoop would say whatever he needed to, even if it wasn't the truth. And when it came to Pac, there was already tension. Meanwhile, the feds have been digging into Tupac's assassination, and what they found changes everything. At first, people thought Keefe D's version of events was the real deal. He claimed that Diddy put up $1 million to take out both Tupac and Suge. But here's the twist. Keefe D said he never actually got that money. Instead, it went to a guy named Eric Von Zip, who apparently took off with the cash and used it to open a nightclub. Now, here's where it gets even messier. In Keefe D's book, he mentioned meeting up with Zip in LA right after coming back from Vegas. And supposedly, there was a phone call from Puffy right after the shooting. Puffy allegedly asked, "Was that us?" And Keefe D stayed silent. The FBI even confirmed that Zip kept the money and used it for himself. And according to the people involved, nobody who was actually in on the plan ever saw a dime. Not even so much as a free pair of Sean John boxers. At this point, it's starting to look like Puffy was always in the background when shady things went down. And what if Keefe D is staying true? Snoop might have known a lot more than he let on. So, here's where things get even crazier. Keefe D admitted that he wasn't the one who pulled the trigger, but he did supply the weapon and made the call to the guy who actually did it. He got arrested in September 2023 and has been behind bars ever since. But now the feds are looking at a whole new angle, one that brings Snoop Dogg into the mix.
Anybody? No.
And when I see him, Jesse Jackson, his mom and all them there, and his mama, she pulled me to the side. And that's when I knew it was bad, because she telling me to be strong and all this shit. I'm like, so I go in the room with him, and he laid up. And I just get right on the side of his head and just start talking to him in his ear. Just talking to him. I don't even know what the fuck I was saying, but it was something to the effect of, like, I love you, and I hope I didn't make you mad for the shit I did. I just thought I was doing what was right. But it was some other shit, because then as soon as I walked out of there, I went in the bathroom and I threw up. I just laid on the floor for like 30 minutes. His mama came in there and cleaned me up. His mama came in there and cleaned me up.
If you knew who killed Tupac, would you tell the police?
Absolutely not.
Yep, that's Snoop Dogg. Y'all probably remember that back in the day, Snoop was part of Suge Knight's Death Row Records. He joined in 1991 after Dr. Dre discovered him and saw his potential. But back then, the East Coast versus West Coast beef was no joke. You were either on one side or the other, especially if you were connected to the big names in the feud: Pac, Suge, Diddy, and Biggie.
We was at the Universal. I was with No Limit. We was at the show. And we sitting on the inside. Death Row guys walk up. He come in peace, smiling, shaking my hands, walked me in the corner, talking to me. Now the other one was surrounding me. 5 minutes later, it's about 7 of them around me. I ain't paying attention. So the soldiers then went on stage. Now I'm back here talking to these Death Row niggas about myself. So now they were like, "You owe Suge apology." I'm like, "F Suge." Like, what? Try to take off on me. Whoa, he missed. I get out of there. We all chilling.
Right.
We on the West Coast. Tupac brought Biggie with him. We rocking. We let Cuz get down with us. We go in the back, smoke, chill, hang out. It's beautiful.
When did it go sideways?
Once Pac got shot. When he got shot, he felt like they did it, but...
And this was when he got shot in New York?
Yeah.
Before he got shot in Vegas?
There you go, right there.
Yeah.
And now...
So he felt like someone from the West Coast was involved?
No.
Or from the East Coast, rather, excuse me.
Yes.
Snoop, though, he was different. Instead of picking a side, he played it safe. Some say he was just looking out for himself, but others believe he was playing both sides, and not just to stay out of trouble. Rumors started swirling that he was actually snitching on his fellow death row artists, and even plotting against them.
Right after I heard Tupac got shot, and I was so weak I damn near fell over. I immediately flew to Vegas, and I walked in the room, and I seen him laid out on the bed with all kind of tubes in him. And his mom came over to me, and she grabbed me, she held me up, and she said, "Baby, you got to be strong." And I went and sat next to him and was whispering to him, telling him I loved him, and to hold on, and he was gonna be okay. And even in that moment, his mom was thinking more about me than herself and showing me how to love strong.
And it wasn't just talk. Reggie Wright once exposed that Snoop went to the feds and told them Suge had something to do with Tupac's passing. That's a serious accusation.
So I really gotta have a real conversation with Snoop. The reason why I gotta have a conversation with him about is that I've been doing that young dude a long time. I did everything in my power to make sure he kept his freedom.
For almost 2 years, Snoop has been out on $1 million bail paid by Death Row Records.
And I knew that Pac did everything right by him by putting all eyes on me, speaking about him and being real with him. And if it's true what they say, face to face is going to be a lot of explaining to do. Warren did a thing when he said that Snoop had a radio. He was at Snoop House when it happened.
Reggie also shared the backstory of when things got heated between Pac and Snoop. He recalled a time when they were all in New York for the MPV Awards, and Pac was already feeling some type of way about being there. According to him, Pac felt betrayed by some people in New York and was ready to go off. Suge had to calm him down, explaining that not everyone in New York was shady, just the ones who had crossed him. But Pac wasn't hearing it. That night, they all hit up an after-party where Puffy and his crew were.
I looked out the house and Snoop was outside. Then he had the next tail back there. Remember the motherfucker? Yeah. That whatever it was hitting him all the way from what was going on from Vegas. And then he started getting calls and shit, and they was telling him that Tupac got shot and this.
Only way you would have a radio if you was at the fight with us and you had a security detail. I'm not having a security detail.
And let's just say Pac wasn't about to play nice. The second he spotted Puffy, he charged at him full speed. Suge and the others tried to keep the situation under control, but anyone who knew Pac knew that once he was fired up, there was no stopping him. At this point, it's clear that the drama between Pac, Snoop, and Death Row wasn't just music industry beef. There were real betrayals happening behind the scenes, and Snoop might have had a bigger role in it than people realized.
What happened was, Nas ain't got a lot of people with him, but he got a lot of people with him, if you know what I mean. And I'm seeing him and I'm knowing, because I'm a gangbang. I'm seeing with their hands on their guns. I step away from him. Him and Nas right here, boom. Nas like, what's up, Pac? Man, I love your music, I'm a fan. That's what Pac say. If you a fan, I dissed you, Jay-Z, Biggie, he named off a gang of them. I dissed all you on the song. And if you a fan and you ain't got no beef, don't say nothing. And Nas said, I love you. I never diss you. And he shook his hand and he hugged him. And then when he walked off, Pac said, yeah, I punked that. In my mind, I was like, nah, he let us slide.
By the mid to late 90s, Death Row Records was falling apart. In September 1996, Tupac was gone. The next month, Suge Knight landed in jail after violating his probation. This happened right after he and his crew, including Tupac, jumped Orlando Anderson, a known Crips member, on September 7th. With Suge locked up, he expected Snoop to step up and hold Death Row together. But instead, Snoop saw this as his chance to walk away from the chaos. He made it clear he wasn't about that life anymore and wanted to move in a different direction. Snoop later explained that his album, The Dogfather, was his way of starting fresh. He said he didn't want to glorify the negativity that Death Row had pushed. He was all about making music in a more positive light. But here's the thing, Snoop's way of keeping it positive wasn't what people expected. Instead of just leaving, some say he started working as a double agent, throwing people under the bus to protect himself. Reggie Wright even spoke on it, saying guys like Snoop always seemed to avoid jail time no matter what they did. According to him, Snoop got caught with guns, narcotics, and even had a serious trial hanging over his head, but somehow nothing ever stuck. Wright hinted that guys who always get away with everything, yeah, they're the ones working with the police behind the scenes. But Snoop's biggest betrayal came when he ditched Death Row for No Limit Records and linked up with Master P. He claimed he was walking away from the devil's work and that Master P and Priority Records had given him a deal that felt more aligned with what he wanted. At this point, people started questioning Snoop's loyalty. Was he really just trying to move on, or was he making sure to cover his tracks? That's when the rumors started flying, some even suggesting that Snoop played a part in setting Tupac up. And Suge Knight, he had a lot to say about it.
Suge Knight recently said he used to be a superstar and now he's just a no-limit soldier. What do you say to that?
Nothing. He used to be a CEO, now he's just an inmate.
Thanks a lot.
While Snoop thought he was now safe.
During an interview with Chris Cuomo, Suge didn't hold back. He claimed that Snoop, along with plenty of other rappers, knew exactly what Diddy was doing behind the scenes. He said these artists saw all the shady stuff happening in the industry, yet chose to stay quiet instead of speaking up. Suge even called them out, saying that when it came down to it, nobody was standing up for the truth. Not Pac, not Rick Ross, not Jay, not Snoop, not Game, not even Dre. So the question is, was Snoop really just trying to leave the drama behind, or was he making sure his own name stayed clean? And if he did set Pac up, was it because he wanted out, or he was forced to do it? If you thought Suge was done putting Snoop on blast, think again, because he was just getting started. On his podcast, Collect Call with Suge Knight, he didn't hold back, straight up accusing Snoop of knowing more about Tupac's assassination than he ever admitted.
I'm the reason why Tupac was on Death Row Records. I told Suge, go get Tupac. I'm the reason for a lot of things that happen because I was the one that always would speak up and be like, nah, that ain't right. Nah, I ain't with that. Even when Pac and Biggie was into it, I would tell Pac, nah, cuz that ain't cool. He don't want none. You get what I'm saying? So it's like I was always that guy from Death Row Records who was that particular person.
According to Suge, there were a lot of unanswered questions when it came to Snoop and Pac's final days. He claimed that in the days before Pac's demise, tension was at an all-time high between the two. Pac had apparently figured out that Snoop wasn't really on his side and had been playing both sides of the East Coast versus West Coast beef.
That's how I was with Eazy-E. I loved Eazy-E.
Right, as a kid.
But I never could be friends with Eazy-E when I got with Dr. Dre. I could never say, damn, Eazy, you a bad motherfucker. I fuck with you, cuz your shit is hard. I always had to be like that because that's the stance I was in.
Did you ever get to tell?
Never.
Oh, man.
Never.
Someone from the West Coast was involved.
No.
Or from the East Coast, rather, excuse me.
Yes. And later information came out that the people that he thought did it had nothing to do with it.
So by him accusing people of it, it kind of set things off.
And then by him being bailed out by Death Row Records, and Death Row Records adding more gasoline to the fire, and him being a part of the most gangsterous label in the world that his opposition didn't want no issues with.
Right.
It only egged it on as opposed to, let's find a resolution. Now let's keep making it more of a problem.
Here's where things got even more suspicious. After Pac was gone, Snoop barely said a word. Suge pointed out that for someone who was supposedly Pac's friend, Snoop's silence spoke volumes. He even suggested that Snoop might have had inside knowledge about what was going to go down, meaning he was pulling strings behind the scenes. Suge also made it clear that he still had unfinished business with Snoop. He said he wanted to have a face-to-face conversation with him because there was a lot to be settled.
When we sitting on the inside, Death Row guys walk up. He come in peace, smiling, shaking my hands, walk me in the corner, talking to me. Now the other ones surrounding me.
But it doesn't stop there. Suge also talked about how he was the one who paid Snoop's $1 million bail when Snoop was facing serious charges in the 90s. In an interview with Drink Champs, Suge brought up something Warren G once said. On the night Pac was shot, Snoop and Warren G were together at Warren's house just hanging out. Warren apparently told Suge that Snoop left that night and went straight to the hospital. But here's the twist. Warren always wondered if things would have played out differently if he had convinced Snoop to stay at his place. Because if Snoop had been with him all night, he might have ended up in that car with Pac. Now this raises even more questions. Did Snoop know exactly when and where Pac was going to be that night? Did he stay away on purpose? And just when you think Suge was done talking, he went on The Art of Dialogue and dropped even more bombshells.
Is it true that you and Pac once crossed paths in Central Park?
Him and Nas right here, boom. Nas like, what's up, Pac? Man, I love your music, I'm a fan. That's what Pac say. I dissed you, Jay-Z, Biggie, he named off a gang of my... I dissed all you on the song. And if you a fan and you ain't got no beef, don't say nothing.
One thing fans have noticed, Suge's story about Snoop's betrayal has never changed. From the beginning, he's been saying the same thing. Snoop was never really loyal to Pac. According to Suge, Pac already knew Snoop was shady. Their fallout apparently started when Pac heard Snoop on the radio giving props to Biggie and Diddy. Snoop even made it clear that he had no problem working with them, which Pac took as straight-up disrespect. Suge even said that everybody already knew how tight Snoop and Puffy were. And when it came to Snoop's side of the story, Suge wasn't buying it. He made it clear that Snoop was going to say whatever made him look good, even if it wasn't the truth.
Suge Knight recently said he used to be a superstar and now he's just a no-limit soldier. What do you say to that?
Nothing. He used to be a CEO, now he's just an inmate.
Thanks a lot.
While Snoop thought he was now safe.
At this point, it's hard to ignore the pattern. Every time Suge talks about Snoop and Pac's beef, the details stay the same. And it all points to Snoop having way more involvement in the situation than people originally thought. So, was Snoop just trying to stay out of trouble? Or was he really playing both sides to protect himself? And if he knew something about Pac's assassination, why has he never spoken up? Fast forward, they were back at the hotel, and that's when things got real. Suge recalled that everyone had their own rooms, but he had one special room that only Pac knew about. He was chilling inside, enjoying the night with some company when suddenly, bang, 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 someone was at the door. He threw on his boxers, opened up, and Pac barged in, hyped up. Suge said Pac was all fired up, asking if he had a radio. Turns out, Pac had just heard Snoop on air, and what he was saying wasn't sitting right. Snoop was out there talking reckless, saying that he had no problem working with Biggie and Puffy. Basically, he was throwing shade at Pac, making it sound like he had no issues teaming up with the same people Pac had been beefing with. That was the final straw. Pac was done. After everything he had done for Snoop, after writing for him, putting him on his album, and showing him love, Snoop turned around and disrespected him in public. From that moment on, Pac made it clear, Snoop was the enemy.
I heard Snoop told the story a few times, but he had it wrong a little bit. He had said that Pac stepped to me, and nobody was really there. Oh yeah, we had a great convo, man. He was like, he explained that he thought I was dissing him, and he thought, and I on the song The Message.
Nas said, I love you. I never dish you. And he shook his hand and he hugged him. And then when he walked off, Pac said, yeah, I punked it.
It's like, yo, Nas, we brothers, man. We're not supposed to go through this. And I was like, that's what I'm saying. Like, so we had a plan to squash it in Vegas.
Suge described just how mad Pac was. He reminded everyone how much he had always stood by his people. According to Suge, Pac said he put everyone from Death Row on his album, made sure they were taken care of, and this was the thanks he got. He started questioning people. Where you from? If they answered East Coast, he swung on them. He was heated. He saw this as straight up betrayal. These were the same people he was standing up for, and they turned around and sided with the enemy. According to Suge, Pac was beyond furious. He felt like he had gone to war for people who wouldn't do the same for him. He even called Snoop out, specifically, man, I got on the front lines for these people, and this fool goes on the radio and says he's riding with them. At that point, it was on sight. The tension between Pac and Snoop was so bad that Suge had to step in as a referee. Every day he checked in on both of them, trying to keep things from getting out of hand. But no matter how hard he tried, the two nearly came to blows every single night. Suge even had a nightly routine before going to bed. He'd check in with his mom and then call both Pac and Snoop just to make sure everything was cool. He said whenever he asked, "You good?" they both say yep, and that was it. That meant everything was straight, for the moment at least. But one night things got physical. They were all downstairs when Pac suddenly went off on Snoop. According to Suge, Pac ran up and swung on him, forcing Snoop to take off in the other direction. Pac chased him, but Suge stepped in and shut it down. He told them straight up, "We ain't doing this in New York. We're not about to make ourselves look stupid out here." But here's where it gets even more interesting. Suge tried to fix things back in California. He wanted them to settle it at the Death Row studio, but Snoop refused to ride in the same car as Pac. He even refused to fly home with him. Now this is where Snoop's story starts to fall apart. Over the years, he's told people that he and Pac flew back together, and that he even had to carry a fork and knife on the plane for protection. But according to Suge, that never happened. Suge also pointed out something else that made people suspicious. After the Mike Tyson fight, where Pac was shot, everyone was supposed to go to the after party. But guess who was nowhere to be found? Snoop. Suge hinted that Snoop already knew what was about to happen, and that's why he stayed away. Suge said he'd told both of them, "Come on, we're heading to the airport. Let's handle this later." But Snoop refused to ride with them. Instead of hopping in a limo with the rest of the crew, he got in the luggage van. Then came the private flight back to California. Suge told Pac to let it go, that there was a time and place for everything. Pac agreed, but Snoop never even got on that plane. And all that talk about carrying a fork and knife for protection, Suge shut it down, said it never happened. As for Snoop, Suge didn't even have to say much. He just made one thing clear. Snoop's been telling lies for years. So now the question is, did Snoop distance himself from Pac because he saw trouble coming? Or was he involved in something bigger than we know? Is Snoop lying? And if he is, what exactly is he trying to hide? Well, if you ask Suge Knight, the answer is simple. Snoop was jealous of Tupac. And if that's true, then getting Pac out of the way may have been part of the plan. Suge even put it bluntly. He didn't think Snoop had any real connection to Tupac. He questioned why people were out here talking about Pac when they weren't even around him like that. He specifically called out Snoop, saying it was time to reevaluate how he really felt about Pac. According to Suge, the pressure was building because, at this point, the truth was starting to come out. And here's where things take an even wilder turn. New evidence suggests Snoop knew a lot more about Pac's assassination than he ever admitted. Allegedly, the feds had uncovered proof that Snoop was feeding Diddy intel about Death Row's movements. If that's true, it means he may have helped set up the perfect moment for the hit on Pac. So now we gotta ask, did Snoop really set Pac up? And if he did, was it out of fear? Or was he trying to cover his own back? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't miss what we've got coming next. That's it for today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more updates.